Joe, he's sleeping and he thinks there's going to be a collection plate. It's now 4:30. I'm going to call this meeting of the Moorhead Public Service Commission to order. Could I have a motion, please, concerning our agenda?
I move to approve the agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. That motion carries. Could I have a similar motion concerning the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. That brings us down to item 6A, which is customers to be heard in recognition. Any customers to be heard? Okay, that brings us down to recognitions. This is by far one of the best things that we as commissioners get to do every year, and that is to hand out some scholarships to deserving young students in the Moorhead School District. And so they gave me a complete script here, and I'm going to introduce each party, and then David is going to go down there and give you the certificate. Correct? Cool. Okay. Each year, Moorhead Public Service is a proud sponsor of a scholarship program which awards college scholarships to local students. As I introduce each graduate, Dave will present each of you with a certificate. And I would ask that each recipient step down for their certificate and for a photo. And I think Bill is going to be taking photos, probably except one. And I'm going to give you these following names. Nicole Mazur. Nicole is being awarded first place in the MPS Public Power Essay Scholarship Contest for $1,000. She's graduating from Moorhead High and plans to attend the University of Minnesota Crookston to study health sciences and pre-physical therapy. She's a daughter of Craig and Brenda Mazur, who are my former neighbors from the north side, so she took most of her formative years on the north side of Moorhead, just so everybody understands this. So congratulations, Nicole. Her parents were displaced to South Moorhead as a part of the program. Yeah. And we wish they were back.
But she did get the scholarship after she moved away from you.
There's some truth to that. Craig, would you stick up for me? Yeah. I deserve that. Quinn Kupek. Quinn's being awarded the second place at MPS Public Power Essay Customer Scholarship Contest for $500. Quinn is graduating from Moorhead High and plans to attend Princeton to study aerospace engineering. Quinn is the son of Deborah White and Robert Kupek. Congratulations. He's a lot smarter than some of us sitting up here. We wish you the very best as well, Quinn. Mark Schwant. Mark is being awarded first place in the MPS Public Power Essay Employee Scholarship Contest for $1,000. Mark is graduating from Park Christian School and plans to attend Concordia College to study biology. He's the son of our general manager, Bill Schwant, and his wife, Cheryl. It says here that Bill is employed by MBS. I didn't know that, you know. Congratulations, Mark.
Congratulations. Thank you.
And congratulations, Cheryl, to you as well and to Bill. Molly Jaspers. Molly's being awarded the first place in the MPS Video Scholarship Contest for $1,000. Molly is graduating from Park Christian High School. Plans to attend Minnesota State University Moorhead. She's a daughter of Craig and Tammy Jaspers. Are we going to be seeing this video tonight? Okay. Isn't that about the fun thing you get to do?
Yeah, this is I ran out.
I see that. Well, but there's more here. Casey has more. MPS also provides a $750 scholarship in partnership with M-State Wadena to assist students pursuing a post-secondary education at M-State Wadena in an electrical utility line worker program. Believe it or not, we wish we had more line workers, and they're very hard to find. MPS's 2015 M-State Line Worker Scholarship was awarded to Phil Shaquin. Phil is from Dilworth, Minnesota, and recently graduated from the one-year line worker program at M-State Wadena. He will be employed by MPS during the summer of 2016 and previously worked for MPS as a dispatcher, and it's sort of nice to see us growing within our own utility. Moorhead Public Service would like to congratulate those students and to wish them the best in their future academic pursuits. And we'll play Molly's first place video here in a moment. Congratulations to all of you and to your parents. And having had children who've gone through school, I can assure you that every little bit helps. Okay? Are we ready with our video?
Oh, yeah.
Very well done. Wow. This is, I'm assuming this is going to go on our local access, and I would think there might be something for us to show to the city council as well. That was very well done. You know, this is just an example of the kinds of students we have in this community. Moorhead Public Service is an organization that is run by this board, so to speak. Bill runs it, but we sort of help him along. And we are all appointed to serve in these capacities. We are owned by the people like you who are sitting out in our audience tonight. And it really, like I said, this is the best thing we get to do, and we only get to do it once a year, and that's to hand out these scholarships and to see the kind of talent. That was great. I think you've got a future in this kind of thing, believe me. And it's wonderful. To every one of you, congratulations. Wish we could give you more. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to make any comments?
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
All of you.
Good luck.
Everybody's still very quiet. It's out of respect for the
You
older
haven't done
people.
the benediction.
Yeah, no, if you stay a little bit longer, there will be a plate coming from the back. Joe, to bring that up. Thanks, everybody. That brings us down to the next item of
You
business.
might want to dismiss them.
Pardon?
You might want.
Yeah, you can feel free to leave. You don't have to stay for the rest of the meeting. Yeah.
Thank you.
Or be festive.
Or be free to stay, either one, you know. Thank you. It's nice seeing you two again. Members of the City Council, anything to report to us?
Mr. President, we
Yes.
do have one more recognition.
Oh, can you accept the report?
Accept what you report?
Is there a motion to accept the report on the
so moved.
scholarships? Okay, is there a second to that?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, that carries. My pleasure. Bill, would you like to interrupt me?
Well, we have an engineer leaving us. Chris, I think, is going to talk about it with great regret. We have
This
an
is going to
engineer.
be old news, you guys.
Yeah.
And look at the way the sun, or look the way that light is shining down on Sam tonight,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's,
Right before you said
yeah, you better.
No, the answer is no.
Yeah. Kevin Young, our current water plant
What?
supervisor, will be leaving for the engineering firm Short Elliott Hendrickson SEH in St. Cloud. He'll be a operations engineer with SEH. So I want to thank him for 5 years at MPS and phenomenal job. Notably did some really good work in conjunction with NDSU for his graduate work in reducing a disinfection byproduct bromate from our drinking water. Phenomenal project, and really appreciate the service on his part.
Let me rephrase that. No.
First it was Sam, now it's him.
It's like 5 years.
What's that?
They're both at 5 years.
Yeah. If Travis, if you think you're next in line to bring a name up here in front of us at the next meeting, it ain't gonna happen. Well, we wish you very well as you move forward with your career. It's all we can say, and congratulations, we're gonna miss you. Maybe you can talk Sam into staying in Minnesota, that's, you know, in the short period of time in which you got with us. Thank you.
Yep,
Thank you for the 5 years. Okay, anything else you want to report to make our day?
No,
Okay.
that didn't make our day, that's for sure.
Members of the City Council, what have you got to report?
I wish I had something that could make your day, but I don't have anything.
Okay,
could make all day.
we're going to accept that. Take it for what it's worth. Heidi's right.
I could make something up, I suppose.
Well, some days you probably wish you could. Members of the Public Service Commission, any reports to make?
I'd make a
Feel
brief,
free.
I'd make a brief report. I think we're going to change things up a little bit with our agenda tonight. But just to report very quickly that last week, Bill and Chris and I attended the Committee of the Whole meeting to talk about water planning and what our future is starting to look like as far as water supply and what this board and what this community is going to need to do over the next several years in order to have adequate water supply. You know, the video was very, very timely. I think when we come back to the City Council, we'll bring that video with us. But you know, this glass of water is taken for granted, and there have been times in our community's history where the river ran pretty dry, and it is the source of water for our friends in Fargo. It is the main source of water for us most days in Moorhead. We have other options, though, and our friends across the river do not. So as we're looking to our future, we're having to pay a good deal of attention to what it is that our supply is going to be over the next several generations. So that being just a quick little anecdotal report, we're going to come back in a couple of weeks to look at Chris's entire report to the Committee of the Whole. And then we're going to be pressing to take steps in order to push forward with what the strategy is going to be for our community. So as we begin to prepare budgets for 2017 and out years, we're going to be looking at how it is that we may fashion the financial plan in order to accomplish the water supplies for our future. So, Chris, that's in a nutshell. Anything else we need to tell them tonight? We'll look at all the slides and we'll have the discussion at the next meeting when we can really get into what the details
Are we prepared as a result of that presentation to move forward with the decision-making process, or is there more information that we as a commission have to look at?
It is our intention to ask for a decision.
Okay.
We've had a brief conversation. Ralph, as our representative to the LAWA board, I've served as kind of a quasi-representative to the Valley Prosperity Partnership, but together we've all been working on these water issues. And it is time for us to make a decision, I think, as a community, particularly for the Missouri River Water Supply Project that has been discussed and off and on underway for a number of years. It seems to me, based on the conversations that we've already had as a board, as well as other members of the community, that we need to let one of these options loose and start to pursue the option that is going to be our direction for the future. So, yeah, I think over the next 2, 3, 4 meetings, we're going to be making some decisions.
I see Ralph is shaking his head. Is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, and we had a meeting just earlier today, and along the same lines, and we can make decisions. We have the information, thanks to Chris and team. We have the information we need to have. We can, make decision in the next couple of weeks or maybe a month or two. The deadline, there's a deadline on LAWA's side of October 1st, but I think we can beat that one way or the other. Make a decision and then move forward with whatever decision is. And as we've said too, we need to, it's a big issue for us, and that's why we did the presentation to the council as well, to keep everybody informed. We also talked about maybe going to the county and informing them as well, and so we're all in the same boat, no pun intended, to make sure that water keeps running.
Okay. And I think that there was some flavor on the part of the city council, at least, to see us moving forward with the decision-making process so that we can, for the very same reasons. Did you find that to be the case, Heidi?
Thank you. From my observation, it appeared that council wanted to know what direction you'd be going. And it seemed like in just my opinion, it seemed a majority were supportive of focusing on securing our local water and our, using our resources here instead of investing out west in that project.
Okay.
And maybe one point along those lines as well. Either options are not going to be cheap.
Correct.
Right. This is not going to be here's $50,000 and let's build a pipeline. This is 10, 15 years of project works with tens of millions of dollars. But we will do that over the time, and it needs to be done, and we need to make sure we have water.
In my tenure on the Moorhead Public Service Commission, I can assure you that it would appear that none of our decisions are cheap. When it comes to infrastructure, they're all very expensive.
And none of our decisions are short-term, right? We're looking 20, 30, 40, 50 years out, and that's what we need to do. So somebody who sits here 50 years from now, Ken will still be here, but I won't be. we'll say, whoever they were made the right decision.
You'll have my ashes sitting in a little urn, yeah. Okay. No, Ken will not be here in 50 years.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah. Well, okay. Do we have to take any action on this, or do you want to just have your report as a member of the commission?
I suggest that we look forward to our first meeting in June
Okay.
for a presentation from Chris on the really both pieces of the puzzle, the western option, our local option, and then out of that, let's make some decisions.
Okay, obviously, we're going to want some cost estimates and those types of things as
The
close as you can
numbers are
come.
there.
Okay,
Yeah, the numbers are there.
very good. Anybody else in the Public Service Commission? Okay. Bill, anything to report?
The report is attached, and there's just a couple things other than the one that was just discussed, which the slides are in the packet if you care to look at those before the June meeting that Chris will be presenting at. The other issues are the West Fargo transmission line is coming along very well, and Travis can do an update at that, anytime that you would like, but that line is coming along well. And then we did get a thank you from MMUA for the lineman rodeo work that our crews did, and that's a very nice thank you, and Joe deserves a thank you. He kind of coordinated it he did coordinate it all for Moorhead Public Services activities there. The Minnesota legislature has adjourned, and they adjourned without accomplishing a bonding bill, which is going to be interesting to see whether or not they do a special session, and whether or not the Moorhead underpass is in that special session bonding bill. One other thing that was approved by the Senate and the House was a railroad permit fee standardization, if you want to call it that, where they have this in Iowa, they have it in other states, where for a permit, there's a maximum amount or a set amount for what the permit would cost, and a time frame on when the railroad has to get an approval back to us so that we can continue with our projects. And the rural electric cooperatives, the telecommunication utilities, and the municipal electric utilities, I'm not sure, maybe the investor-owned utilities as well, all got together to try and get this, because as you remember, we spent 2 years without having electricity to a substation in South Moorhead because of the railroads, in them not getting their work done and getting us permits. And it also sets an upper level to those permits so you don't have to pay so much. But that did pass the legislature, and it's waiting for the governor's signature, which I would expect the governor to sign that. So we'll give you further updates as we come along.
I think that two of us on this particular dais would take a bet with you that at some point in time that's going to be challenged.
Well,
It's probably unconstitutional.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, we'll see what happens. It is in other states, though, so I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean,
It's going to be interesting.
the regional railroads
Yep.
did try and fight it. It passed overwhelmingly, but like you say, if it's unconstitutional, I mean, it probably will be challenged, and the railroads have the resources to do that.
Yes, and the reason. Okay, that having been said,
Yep.
let's go down to item 8E, which is to accept a report on our Heritage Garden and Amphitheater project. Who is going to be reporting on this?
Well, Travis can start, and then we have, well, and I'll let Travis introduce them, so.
Travis Schmidt, Electrical Engineering Manager. Tonight we want to give you an update on the Heritage Garden Amphitheater project. We started this endeavor back in 2010. In 2014, we finally got an agreement between the Plains Art Museum, Concordia College,
Thank you.
Moorhead Public Service, and the City of Moorhead. Since that time, since about late 2014 and into 2015, there's been construction down on the site. Things have slowed down a little bit due to some vandalism that was going on there. Tonight, Andy Mouse and Sue Leggett, Andy from the Plains Art Museum and Sue Leggett, one of the artists on the Heritage Garden and Amphitheater project are here to present a verbal report for you guys. So I'll let Andy start.
First of all, thank you for allowing me to come in and at least give you an update on how things are going. Second of all, I have a question. I don't know where to point this to change the slides. It's magic. Okay. Okay, that sounds great.
Would you be so kind as to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Andy Mouse. I'm the director CEO of Plains Art Museum. New in my capacity as director and CEO, however, not new to the Plains, where I've, in a variety of capacities, have worked for over 7 years. So returning to the community, actually a current resident of Moorhead, so I should thank you all for what you do to make this a wonderful, livable city as well. Not trying to butter you up, just trying to say that I really like this town. So with that, an update on the Heritage Garden. I think probably you're generally familiar with this project that has been, I think, both really satisfying and really challenging in many ways. And I'll talk to you a little bit about some of those challenges. But I didn't know where to start, so I'm starting really generally to introduce the project. The artist team, we have Sue Leggett here, who's a local resident, been involved with several community projects and personal artistic endeavors for many years. Certainly a fine example of our local arts community. We also have Rob Fisher from Park Rapids, Minnesota, and also New York City. And Kevin Johnson, a colleague of his, also from New York. The three of them comprise the artist team. The administration is now me, Andrew J. Mouse, but you can call me Andy, Neetha Clater, who's our Director of Education and Social Engagement. The project initially started with the vision and the administration of Colleen Sheehy, who was my predecessor. So I started with what is the Heritage Garden. This might be rudimentary for many of you if you know the project, but basically it's an artist-designed park, which is in and of itself kind of an interesting idea that a park can be both a work of public art and can also be a useful space for a city. And in this case, it's called the Heritage Garden because it pays respects to the neighborhood that it resides in. And so there's going to be several components to the park. I should backtrack to that initial image when I arrived here in January, once the snow melted. This is essentially what the site looked like. So in other words, didn't look like much, with much thanks to some of the setbacks and some vandalism, pretty exhaustive vandalism that took place in the fall of last year. I'll talk about that a little bit more, but so some components of the site, it incorporates components from the power plant, which was in the, as you well know, was a landmark in that community, in that neighborhood for many, many years. And it exhibits these and it incorporates these into the landscape almost as sculptures. There are what could best be described as berms that form somewhat ripples in the water that flow down the hill, spilling into a natural amphitheater. And this is where we get into partnership programs with others, including the Parks District, looking at movies in the park and so on. We are also going to have stories from the neighborhood, and that's maybe something that Sue can talk about a little bit here, more than, or I guess better than I can. So paying respects to the neighborhood in many ways and an innovative use of that space. So some of the challenges, I'm sure that you're aware of some of them. We've had a couple of site changes. We were going to place the park in one location. We were going to place it in another location, back in another location, which also meant multiple redesigns, which meant some delays. We've had some, I guess, normal budget constraints that you would imagine a nonprofit art museum to have. That, however, has been really dealt with, I think, in the last, I don't know, 6 months or so. We've reallocated some funding, and I'll talk about that as well. The vandalism that took place in the fall of last year was what could have really devastated everyone, but we've come at this project with new energy and have really come a long way in a short period of time since I've arrived. Some miscommunication, as you might imagine, with this many moving parts, that can happen. And then, we found it interesting to schedule with the needs of planting, the timing, the sometimes unpredictable nature of our weather, and the availability of our artists. And all of those things have been, I think, normal challenges. But with, like I said, new energy and a bit of luck, we've actually made some progress this year. So how we're moving forward? Whoops. Did I do something?
We have the information in front of us if you want.
Okay. Looks like something's happening there, but I can just I can just talk. We have we've reallocated some funding to make sure that we can complete this project and do the respect to this project that we feel it deserves. We've re-engaged our partners that are obviously include Moorhead Public Service, have been an invaluable partner in this project. But as well as the artist team and several others that have contributed to this project. We have a community planting day that is scheduled for June 4th. Thank you, Sue. June 4th. Boy, that's coming up fast. We've engaged new contractors in this project, very knowledgeable, very efficient, wonderful people to work with. And, oh, there it is. And did I miss anything? Oh, our plan, anyway, if all things go as planned, is to have opening events scheduled for the site in the middle of September to coincide with what I believe to be Moorhead Days, Greater Moorhead Days. So we believe it's an achievable plan based on the groundwork that's been done and the re-engagement of partners and everyone's enthusiasm for the project. But unless unforeseen circumstances force otherwise, we should be good.
If I can ask a few questions, Andy.
Yes.
When you talk about the re-engagement of the partners, is that including the Concordia Art Department and people like that who originally signed on this project?
It is. That has been a little bit more of a challenge because our key partner there is no longer with Concordia College, but it's in the works. And I fully expect them to be on board.
Okay. Yes. So do we.
Yes, and contractually so.
Well, and, that's why we asked for that engagement to begin with, that level of commitment and support. And we were assured that that was going to be the case because it's obviously going to be our concern about how this is going to be maintained and taken care of going off into the future and not become something that is less than as beautiful as we want it to be.
Absolutely. And I think with the Plains as a key partner in this as well, looking at it as both a useful public space but also as a work of art, we tend to not mistreat works of art. And we intend to make sure that we'll be a key partner in making sure that the space looks great in the future.
Okay.
That's our intention. What's that? Yes.
Sue, if you would identify yourself, I know you're no stranger to this group.
Yeah, Sue Leggett. I'm one of the contributing artists on the Heritage Garden and Amphitheater project. I just wanted to add in terms of maintenance, I just want to remind everybody that while we were designing and thinking about the space, we did design it to allow for the riding lawnmowers that MPS and the city currently use. As far as I know, the plan moving forward is what we've been discussing in the past, where MPS continues to mow what they were mowing previously, and the city continues to mow what they were mowing previously. So with that in mind, in terms of mowing the grass, it should be that should be achievable pretty easily. And then the Plains is making arrangements with the Plains and then Concordia College to take care of some finer detail maintenance on the site.
Okay. Bill, with the gracious gift that we gave to the city in terms of all that property over there, has that changed any of those maintenance relationships between the city and the?
Well, like Sue mentioned, just the mowing, and really it is as defined by, you know, the property that we operate now and the property that the city operates now. That's, you know, it's just defined by the property line. So that rectangular shaped piece of property that the water tower is in, that's what we mow, and really the rest of it, which is, you know, part of the park and down the hill, that's what the city maintains.
Okay, for purposes of this discussion, the area for the Heritage Garden, has the future mowing of that property been fully understood, at least between MPS and the city, that we're no longer doing that? Or are we doing it?
Well, we're not doing their, you know, I mean, what's the city's land is what the city will mow, and what what our land is, that we'll mow.
Is the garden on both properties?
The garden, I think, straddles both properties.
Okay, that's sort of where I was going too.
Yeah, as far as I know, because there's the levee, the flood levee, and then there's 3 berms, and then the hillside with the amphitheater. My understanding, because like Fifth Avenue runs kind of through the park, my understanding is everything south of Fifth Avenue is MPS, which would be the first berm next to the levee. North of Fifth Avenue is the city, which is the second, third berm, and the amphitheater.
Okay.
Does that sound accurate? Okay.
Yep. That was accurate. From what I understand, that's accurate.
Okay, so for our purposes, our contribution is fully known and in stone, correct?
Contribution as to what?
Mowing at least.
Well, the mowing issue is still something that we're, you know, in communications with the city regarding who's going to, you know, mow what.
Okay.
But I think it's pretty clear because it's really just the property lines of that piece of property.
Okay.
You know, we'll mow ours and they'll mow theirs.
Okay.
And, you know, the garden that straddles that, if there's, you know, intricate maintenance issues, then that's handled by Plains Art and Concordia.
We look forward to seeing this project through its completion. We really do.
Me too.
That's all we have to hear, Andy. It's a nice addition to the community.
Thank you.
Could anybody else have any questions for Andy or Sue? Okay. Could I have a motion to accept that report, because Casey was just going to ask me if we would do that.
I'll make a motion to accept the report.
Thank you, John. Is there a second?
Second?
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. That brings us down to item 9, which is to approve specifications and authorize advertisement for bids for the replacement of wind turbine number 9's gearbox. Are you going to speak to this, Mr. Schmidt?
Yes, I will.
Would you identify yourself for the people at home?
I will. Travis Schmidt, Electrical Engineering Manager. As we discussed a few weeks ago, we were having some issues with the wind turbine number 9 gearbox, which we had some people come up and take a look to verify with a borescope if we felt that the gearbox was going bad, which of course was the issue. Tonight we're just asking you to approve the specifications and advertising for bid for the replacement of it. Our engineer's estimate's about $210,000 is what we expect the cost to replace that gearbox. They'll be doing some other inspections and other maintenance as well with that. That's within the specifications. With the age of these wind turbines, we have done a cost analysis to see if it was beneficial for us to actually replace the gearbox or if it was better for us just to take the wind turbine down. Based off the analysis that we did, we felt that with a 3.5-year return on investment or payback of the gearbox, that it was beneficial to leave it up. The structure is still in really good shape, and we feel that because the wind regime that we're in, that structure is not as in bad a shape as others are. We're in like Colorado or other places like that. The one concern that we have here is that we did not have this in the budget for 2016. We did have it in the budget for 2017, so we will do an adjustment on the 2017 budget to pay for this wind turbine. We also had it planned that every six years we would replace the gearbox. So every 3 years you would replace a different gearbox.
Okay.
So.
Any questions for Travis?
I do.
Would you like
So
to
a
ask?
question actually more to Nancy. So with the adjustment of budget, we're going to go into reserves, I assume?
Yes.
Yeah.
Reserves this year and take it out.
And takes our budget next year? Okay. I have no issue with that. Just brings back the reserves issue that we have in general that we need to address. I mean, the reserves are for that purpose, to take money out and pay for things like this, but we need to, again, keep on top of making sure that the reserves are replenished, not just for this item, but for the other items as well.
To that extent, is it fair to ask our budget committee if they feel comfortable with that recommendation?
I'm comfortable with that, yes.
Okay.
I'm good with it. As Ralph said, that's what our reserves are for, but then it's our responsibility then to replenish those reserves. You know, as we look into the next year, then let's put it back.
Okay.
And we're getting a financial benefit through the renewables from MRES, so we need to make sure that thing keeps spinning. Apparently it only produces when it spins, right?
Correct.
Even I knew that.
Could you expand a little bit about what the remaining life of that facility is?
So expected life on a wind turbine is 20 years. This turbine was put in 2001, so we're at about 15 years in age. That's based off a high wind regime. We're in probably more of a middle or medium wind regime, so could expect probably about 25 years for the structure. I would suspect as if we get into another gearbox, we'd probably want to do a structural analysis at that point in time on the structure itself.
Does that answer your question, John? Okay. And I think at one point you had given us a report on how much electricity had been generated on those two turbines, and we were ahead of the curve previously.
On how much they produce?
Yes.
Yeah, I can't remember what we
Usually that's
had on that.
Usually we have that in our annual report or one of the
Yeah.
reports, and we could, if you want some of that information, we can provide it
Yeah,
as well.
please do.
So.
Okay. David?
Travis, we probably talked about this before when we did this a couple of years ago, but while it is dormant or while it's shut down and you're doing this work, is there at least some level of structural review analysis while it's standing still?
When the guys were up here for inspection from Renew Energy, they did look through the structure and they felt that there wasn't a whole lot of issues with it at that point in time. They do, with some of the maintenance that we have, they do go through and torque bolts and all that stuff as well to make sure everything is properly torqued. So.
Great, thanks.
Yep.
Thank you, Travis. Could I have a motion, please, to approve item number 9?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. That motion carries. That brings us to item 11, which was to approve the request to the mayor and Moorhead City Council to approve bond sale. Nancy, are you speaking to this? And please identify yourself.
Nancy Lund, Admin and Finance Manager. As part of the 2016 budget, we did plan to sell bonds sometime during the year to finance a number of our large capital improvement projects, the largest being the Oakport Service Territory extension and buyout. And as that negotiation is winding down and the pipes or the lines are starting to go in the ground, we need to get the money in our hands to pay for those things. So we are looking at a bond issue of a total of about $12.7 million to pay for not only Oakport, but some of the other major infrastructure improvements like the significant growth that's happening in Moorhead. So putting electricity and serving those new growth areas will be part of this. During that process, well, let me back up. Last time we went and sold bonds was actually in 2012. And so at that time, we went to New York. Commissioner Anderson General Manager Bill Schwant and myself went and made a presentation. We're successful in increasing our bond rating, which in the long term brings our interest rates down and save costs, not only for Moorhead Public Service, but the city of Moorhead. The greater bond rating we have, the cheaper financing becomes for us. So we did that in 2012. We only usually go out in the bond market every 4 to 5 years, so it's been 4 years since then. So we're ready to do that again when we've got some really good-sized projects. So we hope to ask the council to approve this in their first meeting in June, and we'll actually sell bonds in July, and we should have our cash in our hands mid-August then, so we can start paying some of this infrastructure improvement that's going on.
Do we anticipate any bond rating issues?
No, we're hoping to go in with a good presentation. We will have a bond rating, and we hope to maintain. So, we may have had some investments in power plant cleanup and things like that we didn't really have budgeted, but we hope to have a solid plan going forward, and our hopes would be to maintain that rating. At this time, this year, we're not looking for a rating increase, but just to maintain. Those rating increases or upgrades would be rare occasions, so we'll do our rating call this time via phone and hope to have a plan in place to recoup those reserves we talked about and have a good, strong plan going forward.
Okay, Ralph?
Yeah, actually, I was going to make the comment about the reserves. I mean, one of the things that the agency are looking for is the reserves, and ours are low, but we have a plan. We have a reason why they're low, power plant being one of them, but we have a plan, and we think that's going to be very helpful for them to realize, hey, they're coming up in their reserves, and hopefully that will not affect the rating itself.
Okay.
We're also going to take a look with our financial advisor a little later this week. We're going to look at some options on trying to reduce the number of dollars we need to have as bond reserves. So right now we have a lower of two different items. We have the lower of 10% of the initial bond issue principal, or the highest annual bond payment principal and interest that we make. So that's been our standard. It's been in all of our past bond issues. So we're going to look at some options this week on how we can actually hold less in reserves for bond reserves and save us some money there too.
Okay.
So we'll bring those options back to you when we've reviewed those to see if there's any possibility of fitting into the more normal reserve requirements. So I think we're on the high end of those right now. So we'll take a look and let you know how we come out on those.
Okay. Anybody have any further questions? John?
I'm sorry, but I can't remember, or I can't find it off the top. What is our outstanding debt right now?
Your microphone is off, John.
Probably today we have about 25 million outstanding in bonds. And then in the last 2 years, we have taken on about 16 million for water projects through the Public Finance Authority, so the low interest loans at about 1.1 or 1.02%. So we've gone from, 2 years ago we were at 25 million, 16 million in PFA loans, and this new one will be 13 million, so we'll be at about $54 million total in debt. So some significant increases in the last couple of years, but we've got significant investments in infrastructure. And we do continue to review our capacity, so that's looked at closely each time we do bond issues, so we're still sitting okay there.
Does that answer your question, John? Okay. Anything further of Nancy? Could I have a motion, please, to approve the request at item 11?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. That brings us down to item 12, is to close our meeting for executive session. The meeting will now be closed for executive session. Number 1 is permitted by Minnesota Statute Section 13D05, Subdivision 3D, to discuss security matters related to information technology at Moorhead Public Service, and as permitted by Minnesota Statute Section 13D05, Subdivision 3C, to discuss transactions involving parcel number 589002855 in Moorhead, and finally is permitted by Minnesota Statute Section 13D05, Subdivision 3C3, to discuss offers or counteroffers for the purchase of the Red River Electric Valley Cooperative Power Association and Xcel Energy service territories located in the areas of Oakport Township, which was recently annexed to the city of Moorhead. It is anticipated that no action will be taken as a result of our closed session. Could I have a motion, please, to go into closed session and then to adjourn? David?
Well, I can make the motion, but I have a question.
Okay.
Council is not present for conversation about properties, or I'm just wondering, since we don't have council present, is that problematic, or?
No, we're not going in there for purposes of attorney-client privilege.
Okay, no, I meant.
Heidi's going, what are you talking about? I'm right here.
Legal counsel, okay. Okay,
Jed?
so move.
Didn't I just say that?
I move we go into closed session.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we're now in closed session.
And adjourn.
And
Yeah,
adjourn.
that's what the motion
Yeah, that's what his motion was. I heard him say that. We're now in closed session.